All right, I just want to start by saying that I I realized that for the past six or so episodes of the podcast, I I haven't gotten any interaction, and that was quite surprising to me because um, I had gotten to a place with podcasting that for every podcast I did, there was always a comment, a question, a feedback. A testimony or something like that. And so for the past 10 or so episodes, yeah, I think 6 to 10 episodes, I realized that there had been no interaction. And that was very surprising for me. So I had to go to check what was going on with my Spotify. And I realized that it was saying that I had disabled comments. And I just want to say this right here that if you ever see that I disabled comments, if it ever tells you that I've disabled comments, for any of my podcasts, it's probably not me. I would not do that. I love interaction. I love getting feedback from people. So please, to the avid listeners of the podcast, if you ever see a podcast that I put up and you want to comment and it tells you this person has disabled comments for this podcast, please just reach out to me and to just tell me, oh, my comments seem to have been disabled. Because I went to Spotify and I realized that for the past 10 podcasts, my comments had been disabled. And I don't know why that was done, but then I realized that all my comments had been disabled. So I went back to try to activate comments again. And so if you listen to a podcast, you want to comment, please um, I think over the last 10 podcasts, and you just want to comment, leave a comment, share an experience, ask a question, please go back to the podcast. I've opened all comments. I appreciate your comments, your feedback, your questions. And so please go back to whatever podcast you want to just leave your comment. I find a lot of encouragement in interaction and feedback from my listeners. It makes me know that people are listening out there. So thank you very much for listening. And please, if you ever, I'll say that again, if you ever listen to the podcast and you go to the comment section and it tells you you cannot add comments because I have deactivated or I have restricted comments, please just reach out to me via WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number, I put it out there a lot, is plus 234 80 232 66249. So please reach out to me. I like having one-on-one conversations with my listeners. And today, I'm going to be answering two questions at the same time. I don't think I've done this on the podcast before, but I really feel these two questions are kind of linked. One question here is from my one of my mentees, and one question here is from one of the podcast listeners. So I'm just going to try to answer these two questions. So give me some time to read out the questions if I can find one of them. All right, so I'll start out by reading the first question from my mentee, and then I would read the second question from one of the podcast listeners. Now, the one from my mentee says, "Hello, sir. I really enjoyed your last podcast, the 3 peak stages of your life. It blessed me deeply. As someone in the first peak of life, that means he's in his 20s and 30s, I have discovered that my path is in the creative space, helping businesses, teaching and working with business owners. I've committed to growing in that direction. My question is, should I focus all my energy on hard challenges within that space, or should I still try unrelated hard things like learning to be a barber or operating machines, even if they don't align with my chosen path? For context, I already push myself outside my comfort zone in ways I enjoy, like talking to new people at events, testing new AI tools and design tools, applying for jobs. to sharpen my presentation and interview skills. Do these count as enough hard ventures, or should I still intentionally try difficult things outside my chosen field just for the challenge? That's a good question. And it's talking about a podcast that I did called The Three Peak Stages of Your Life. And I talked about three peak stages. So if you haven't listened to it, you want to listen to it. But I talked about the first peak stage of your life, the peak of one's life, the prime of your life. That is when you are in your 20s and your 30s. And I call that the prime of your physical essence. You are strongest in your 20s and your 30s. A lot of us are most attractive in our 20s and 30s. And I talked about this part of your life being a part where you venture out and try things and use that energy to explore things that pique your interest. Very important. Things that pique your interest. It's very important. And this is what I want my mentee to know. When I talk about hard venture, because I talked about that in the podcast, I said a lot of 20 something year olds get discouraged that things are hard. You want to get into something, but you don't have enough resources. And I said, that's not hard, that's just normal. And I think it is normal for a 20 something year old to have financial challenges. You're in the early period of your life. It could be very distorting for a 20 something year old to have all the resources they want in the world to do anything they want to do. It's going to throw your life off balance. Number one, it's not going to build in you strength, that resilience to go into things. Number two, it's going to distort your relationships. You're not going to know those who really love you. It's going to be hard for you to find romantic love. It's going to be hard for you to find genuine friends. It's going to be hard for you to stop particular habits because you're going to have yes men all around you. It can be a very traumatizing thing for a 20 something year old to be financially secure. I mean, totally financially secure, be a multi-millionaire. I think it is robbing a caterpillar of struggling out of the cocoon stage. I think when a caterpillar struggles out of the cocoon, when it has formed into a butterfly, that struggle builds the wings. And so struggle is an essential tool in that prime state of your life when you're in your 20s and 30s. So embrace it, don't resist it. But what I do mean by hard ventures is go into things that pique your interest, even though they might be resistant. So when I say a sense of adventure, a sense of facing opposition, I'm not saying just look for a challenge. I'm saying have enough courage to face the challenges that come in between you and those things that pique your interest. Don't just pick random challenges. I don't think anybody just goes into life because we just want things to be hard. I think you need to choose your hard. Let your hard be something that kind of makes your happy hard to reach. You understand? So let it be something between you and your happy, not just something between you and living. You understand? So what I want to tell my mentee here is you are on the right path if you found something, an industry, a career that piques your interest. Venture into that. You understand? Venture into that. And what I mean is if you found the design industry or the creative industry as something that piques your interest, venture into the creative industry. Don't restrict yourself to any path, to any particular path yet in that creative zone. Don't restrict yourself. Just if photography piques your interest, go into photography. Buy a camera. Don't think of it as if I buy a camera, it means I'm becoming a photographer. And I'll talk about that. That's what this podcast is about. Don't think if I buy a camera, I'm becoming a photographer. Why should I invest so much? No, it's okay to buy a camera because you enjoy or photography piques your interest, you don't have to be a photographer. You see, when I was growing up as a little boy, there was something, people then just lived life. And there was something, a lot of us, if you grew up in the 80s, you are my age mate, or 80s, we would realize that a lot of our parents had things. If you go into your parents' cupboards and wardrobes and stuff like that, and you would see a lot of things that would interest you, that you realize, oh, I never knew daddy was interested in this thing or mommy was interested in this thing. You see, the first time I saw a professional camera was in my parents' room. My dad had this camera that came in this metallic box. It looks like one of those boxes that hitmen use, and they put their guns in it with their silencers and their scopes and their tripods and all those things. But that's how the camera was laid out, and it was obviously very expensive. And if you saw it, you would have thought my dad was a professional photographer. But obviously, he just picked it up because that was his interest. And when I talk to my wife too, she tells me, "Oh, my dad had this camera too, and it seemed like he did it professionally." But then they just, in their early years, 20s, 30s, they just went after things. I remember also seeing my dad had a couple of rackets and tennis balls. And my dad doesn't play tennis today, but obviously was highly invested in it when he was a young man. And I stumbled on those things. I was like, this is interesting. This tells the story of my dad's life. That is largely missing in today's world. A lot of people feel it's only worth investing in things if you want to be that thing. And I think that's so sad. And not why a lot of people are living half lives. You can invest in things just because you are interested, not because you want to make money from them. You can invest in something because you are interested in it now, not because you see a future in it. And in this podcast, I want to talk about not living in the future, how living in the future can limit our lives. And living in the future, it can limit our lives. So, for Peter asking this question, who is my mentee, I want to tell you, Peter, that venture into that which piques your interest, not that which is challenging. If it piques your interest and is challenging, great. Because challenges build resilience, they build character. But as long as you are being challenged for something you are interested in, when you are being challenged for something you're not interested in, it does more to break you than build you. And I need you to know this. Very important that you know this. There's a story of Joseph or Jacob and Rachel. Jacob and Rachel. Jacob, twin brother of Esau, when he fled from home, he found himself with his mother's brother, Laban, and he saw Laban's daughter, Rachel. He was interested in her. But then his uncle put a challenge. He said, if you're going to have her, you're going to have to work 7 years. And his uncle, tried to play smart on him and, kind of switched his daughters and didn't give him Rachel, immediately gave him Leah, who was the sister. But, Jacob did not want Leah. He wanted Rachel. And the Bible says he was willing to work another 7 years. You see, that was a challenge. It built character in Jacob, but it was because it was something it was for something he was interested in. So I won't say just go and learn how to be a barber, go and learn how to operate some machines. If it doesn't interest you, no, that's a waste of your time. Continue to venture into that space, that creative space, things within that creative space. Invest in as much as you want to in equipment. You don't have to be something. It's a faulty mentality to think if I have a camera, I am a photographer. No, that you have something doesn't mean you are that thing. That thing doesn't own you. You own that thing. You understand? And that's the problem I have with modern day education. It grinds us to something. So I am a doctor, I am an architect because I've invested 4 years of my life. And so people are not learning for the sake of interest anymore. When they learn, they commit to things and they just become that thing and they become close minded. So they say, I am this, I do not talk about this. And that's why we don't know how to do things. That's why the um, D, DIY mentality is very weak in Africa because they're like, I'm a doctor, I cannot fix a chair. You understand? I'm an architect. Why should I know about cars? I'll take my car to a mechanic who is that thing because he works with cars. And when I lived abroad, it was always interesting to see um, the tools that belong to every young man. Every young man took joy in having tools. So when you went to their garage, you see their tools, drills, saws, you know, you know, hacksaws, chainsaws, just ridiculous things, electrical equipment and stuff like that. And you think, is this guy a carpenter? Is he an electrician? No, he's just a guy. He's just a guy that just has built interest in different things and has bought equipment for it. But the average Nigerian, I would dare say average African guy just has equipment for his career. You understand? So please follow your interest. Equip yourself in your place of interest. And what I mean by hard venture is when you have challenges in areas of your interest, push through. Push through. It's worth pushing through. That's the hard venture. You understand? It's hard. You have resistance. You have limitations of money. But then the hard venture is that you are able to push through. So I would advise you to continue to push through within that creative space and don't venture out into things just because they are hard. You understand? Not just because you want to give yourself a challenge. You want to give yourself a challenge that gets you in a place where you are happy, that gets you the reward of whatever your own Rachel is. You understand? So I think that's the first question I want to answer from my mentee. But then I think it kind of leads into the second question. This question is from Samuel, and Samuel is saying, I'll be 29 this year. You know, um, I used to design, but back then I didn't feel fulfilled doing it. At some point, I felt the solution was simply to stop designing altogether. That's why I started exploring other things like photography, videography, and more. But now I want to go back into design, specifically product design. I am talking about digital product design, not just creating flyers, but designing user focused digital experiences using tools like Figma and eventually getting a job as a product designer. My major reason for this transition is financial. At this stage of my life, I know I need a lot more income, not just to scale my photography business, but also to support my family, help people, and do all the things I believe I am meant to do. I make some money from photography, but I know I am capable of more. I want to grow and scale beyond where I currently am. However, the challenge is the product design has been tough for me to pick up again. Sometimes I open Figma or my laptop and just sit there, unable to start anything. It's like I freeze or feel overwhelmed, and that makes me feel stuck. So I guess this is me being honest about how I'm feeling right now. I just want to share it with you and hear what you think. What you think. Is this feeling normal? Am I seeing things from a wrong perspective? I'd really appreciate your counsel and guidance. All right, Samuel, thank you very much for this question. This is a good question from Samuel. I'll start from the bottom, where Samuel is asking me more pointed questions. He's saying, is this feeling normal? Yes, the feeling is normal. The feeling is normal. But I'll tell you why it's normal. It's normal because you are seeing things from a wrong perspective. You are seeing things from a wrong perspective. So when you open your laptop and you're trying to use Figma to get into this swing of product design, digital product design, and product design has become very popular over the past um, 7 to 10 years in Nigeria because it has become very lucrative. There are a lot of people building digital products right now. Digital products are hot in the market, and people are getting being paid highly for developing digital products. And so I see a lot of designers chart their path towards this building expertise in developing digital products. Now, Samuel here is saying, I would like to venture into developing digital products. But then why I say you have the wrong perspective is where you've said that this call you're making is majorly a financial one. Now, that is why you're opening your laptop and you sit down there and you're overwhelmed already. Because you are being motivated by finances. Now, finances, they have a way of, you know, they're like sugar. They're like a child that takes sugar. You see, processed sugar. It has a way of giving you quick energy, but it burns out very fast and gets you hungry again. They're not like natural sugars that your body needs that can burn and that can be sustained over a long period of time. They're like that sugar that your body doesn't need. You see, what this sugar does is that it gets you excited, like it gives you cravings for more sugar in a very short time. And that's why junk food is bad for you, because when you take junk food, it gives you that sugar high, gives you a burst of energy. But then when that wanes out, you are back to being down and you are craving more sugar again. Look, when we do things for money, it gives us an initial zeal. But then what happens after that is a tremendous low. A tremendous low. And that's why I tell people, don't do things for money. Do things for passion. Do things out of interest. As much as possible, don't let your needs put you on a leash. Don't let your needs put you on a leash, or else it will walk you at a pace that you do not like. It will walk you at a pace that you do not like. And this is where Samuel has to be careful, because now he has become disillusioned. He's going into a field because he's seeing his needs. His needs of, I have to take care of my family. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know whether Samuel is married, my family, whether you're married or not, your wife, your children, your parents. You want to take care of other people and you have plans of what you want to do with your life and things like that. And I'll do a podcast soon about this thing we call progress and fulfillment, and and these three things that we count as progressing in life and being successful in life. There are three things that we erroneously call progress. And we feel if we can achieve these things, then our lives are moving forward. I'll do a podcast on that really soon. But one of it is this: oh, I need to take care of my family. It's a responsible thing to do, but it doesn't mean that you're making progress with your life. You understand? And a lot of men get caught up in that. That's why a lot of men, you see them, you just realize that, oh, this man has taken his life. I'm like, what? Why? He has a good job now. He's doing well. He still flew his family abroad for holiday. I mean, look at his children. Children are well taken care of. He doesn't owe anybody any money. And we judge a man by how well he's taking care of his family. And as good as it is to take care of your family, and this doesn't just apply to men, it applies to women too. There are a lot of women, they judge themselves very harshly by how they take care of their family, in quotes. And I want to have you know that there are bigger responsibilities. There are bigger responsibilities. And you see, taking care of family doesn't come first. Taking care of family doesn't come first. Take care of family is a byproduct of something else that comes first, which is finding self. You need to find yourself and find your core and find what it is that you feel called to do. And that's why you see, I talk about those peak stages of your life, and I try to address people in their 20s, unmarried, single, without children. You are in such an advantaged position, and a lot of you do not know it. Some of the worst people I talk to, and when I say worst, I don't mean worst in terms of character. I mean people I really don't like talking to, because I get stuck even when I talk to them, like a merry-go-round, where they're trying to move forward in their lives, but it just seems like they've taken on too much, are people in their 40s, late 30s, 40s. Those people already have a lot of add-ons in their life, like family, children, extended family, that kind of thing. So many dependents. When I talk to people that are in their 20s, a lot of them have self-imposed responsibilities. And when I say 20s, I mean all 20s. I don't even mean early 20s. I'm talking about 21 to 29. You see, when I meet people in their 20s, you don't understand how privileged that position is. 21, 29. You don't understand how it is. Especially in the early 20s when you're not married. Please take advantage of that time. But even when you are married, no children, take advantage of it. Married, one child, take advantage of it. One child, no, infant child, take advantage of it. Child has not started school yet, take advantage of it. But a lot of people, because they live in the future, they don't take advantage of finding themselves. You must find yourself, or else your needs will put you on a leash, and then it will begin to walk you through life at a pace that is not comfortable for you. And this is what's happening here with Samuel. Samuel doesn't know whether he loves design or not. He just knows that he needs the money that is coming from design. But Samuel, you are 29. You still have time. You still have time. Be honest with yourself. Put the money aside first. The money doesn't come first. As a matter of fact, if you follow after the money, you will make the money and it will never be enough. Remember, it's like sugar, high sugar. You will feel, oh, all I just need is a bottle of Coke right now, and you drink the bottle of Coke, and then to give yourself another 30 minutes, you will need another high of a fizzy drink, another fizzy drink. But if you took water, it will do more to quench your thirst. If you took a fruit that has natural sugars in it, it will do better for you than taking a carbonated drink. Those things only lead you to more bottles, more cans. You understand? That's why those companies make more money, because you consume more. They increase your thirst rather than quench them. So this thing you're talking about, product design, even if you were to put your all into it, but you're led by your needs will only increase, and you'll never get satisfaction from this thing. Satisfaction comes from interest. Satisfaction is an interest fulfilled, an interest pursued. That's what you call satisfaction. An interest pursued, an interest fulfilled. So you need to find what your interest is. Look, when we follow our interest, wonderful things happen. Wonderful things happen. Things we never even imagined would happen. When I look back at my life, I realize that there are times, some of the most beautiful things that have happened to me have happened because I've been true to my interest and I didn't live in the future. Living in the future is living out of fear. What would the future be like? What would the future be like? Will I ever have this? Will I ever be able to get this? And then when you let those things lead you, what now happens is you begin to chase after things to orchestrate for yourself a good future. But then you make more mistakes that way. You do things that you end up regretting. And I say this a lot. I talked about relationships. When I was leaving school in my final year, of architecture in Obafemi Awolowo University, I started getting worried. Tola, you are here, you're about to leave school, you don't have a girlfriend. Will you ever have a girlfriend? You are in this environment that has so many girls right now, and you can't find one to be in a relationship with. Is it when you go outside right now that you can't find girls of your age that you can't find that many girls? You understand? All of them are probably in school, working on or so, but you're in this environment where you can find people of your age. Why can't you get a girlfriend? And so I started to live in the future. Tola, will you get married? If you can't get a girl while in school right now and your friends are having girlfriends, would you get married? Started living in the future. So what did I do? I decided to go out and try to get a girlfriend. And I said, I got into a relationship. She was not a bad person, but we both weren't ready for that relationship. We both weren't ready for it. And in the end, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. You understand? If there's something I wish didn't happen in my life, is that I wish that didn't happen. It was not necessary. It wasn't necessary. But it was until I stopped living in that future. Will you have a wife? Will you have children? Would you, And I just started living in the present. And I just told God, you know what? Just have me do what I have to do now. Let me just follow what I'm interested in doing now without thinking of what my future would be. And I just started doing other activities that piqued my interest. And in doing other activities that piqued my interest at that point, without thinking of the future, I met my wife. Without effort, without pushing, I met my wife. I met my best friend. I talk about my relationship with my wife a lot because it's a gift. The other day, my wife were up till 2 a.m. and she was like, Tola, let's go to bed. We have to get up by She has to get up by 5:30. I have to get up by 6. That kind of thing. Please, we have a few hours. And I told her, look, do you know what? I've known you now for 21 years. And we still talk all night. I'm like, do you know how much of a gift that is? We still talk till 2 a.m. We used to do this when we were younger. We were much younger. And we're still doing it now. That's a blessing. That doesn't come by chasing. That comes by God's blessing. So my advice to you, Samuel, stop chasing the bag and start discovering what God has put within you as an interest. Because that thing has the bag connected to it. If you pull on that thing long enough, you realize that the bag is connected to that thing. That bag of money that you are chasing is already connected, tethered to an interest that just needs you to tug at it every single day. Follow your interest. You are trying to be a product designer. Do you have the interest of product design in you? Follow that interest. Look, we need, and this is what I was telling Peter earlier on, we need to stop trying to be. We need to stop trying to be and start discovering those things that we have an affinity for without trying to particularly own them or letting them own us or own our identity. It's okay to, I'll say it again, it's okay to do photography and not be a photographer. It's okay to do graphic design and not be a graphic designer. It's okay to be interested in fashion and not be a fashion designer. It's okay to love to sing and not be a singer. This being just makes it comes from that wanting to monetize things, wanting to have an identity, but our identity is not in what we do. Our identity is in who we are. And who we are is a mixture of a lot of things. We are not a thing. We are a combination of so many things that God has given to us to enjoy. Sometimes that enjoying means earning. Sometimes that enjoying just means expressing. Stop trying to be a product design if it's not something you feel compelled to express. Stop trying to be a product designer, if it's not something you feel compelled to express. You see, I'll tell you a story about the first time I went to Dubai. The first time I went to Dubai. You see, when I got back from Canada, I I'd learned some graphic design, and I was doing some graphic design. But then getting back from Canada, while I was in Canada, I bought a camera. And because while I was in Canada, Canada was such a beautiful place. Beautiful place. It made me pick an interest in photography. Because you walk every day and you're like, oh, this is just so picturesque right now. Walking on the road and just seeing squirrels and squirrels running down the road, picking nuts. It was just so beautiful. Sometimes some winter days were just so beautiful. And just like, this is incredible. This looks like a painting. So I went and I got a camera. Just look, I wasn't trying to be a photographer, but I wanted to keep what I was seeing before me. So I started taking photos. I took it to school and I would just go around taking photos, taking photos. I wasn't displaying. There wasn't any social media to share anything. Those photos were for me. They were for me. I didn't want to lose the images I was seeing before me. And that's what piqued my interest in photography. And it was a basic camera, but I bought it. I invested my money in buying that camera. I didn't want to be a photographer, but something just told me, Tola, I think you would love doing this thing. And I'll have you know, there were other people that were in Canada with me that were seeing this beauty, but didn't pick an interest in them to go and buy a camera. So I bought a camera. So I just used to take photos of nature. And when I came back to Nigeria, I still had this interest. So by that time, my eyes had been open to just seeing beauty in nature. And even in Nigeria, I look around, I just say, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This sky is beautiful. This tree is beautiful. This leaf is beautiful. This animal is beautiful. So I saw myself taking a lot of photos. And after a while, I'd collected so many photos. And people knew me for taking photos. I'll go for weddings and I'll just take photos. And I'll come back to Photoshop with my graphic design skills, touch it up, that kind of thing. Take photos of people, but nobody was paying me anything because I didn't see myself as a photographer. I was just someone that had an interest in taking photos. And after a while, I looked at my computer and I looked at all the photos I had backed up, and there were so many. And in 2010, I decided to do an exhibition just to show people my photos. And so I did an exhibition, my digital art and some of my photography. I put it out there. And I did the exhibition in the church I attended, the Baptist church I attended. And they were graceful enough to give me a room to exhibit. And I did a 1 week exhibition. And some people came and said, how much would this cost? And some people bought some, not all, there were quite a few, but they bought. But I wasn't interested in that. I just wanted people to see what I'd been doing with my time. I still didn't consider myself a photographer. I was just somebody with an interest in photography. And a lot of my photography was wildlife photography, was animal, wildlife. You understand? But then I had people saying, Tola, why are you taking photos of animals? Why are you taking photos? These things cannot pay you. You to go and open a studio. I said, I don't want a studio. I want to walk around with my camera. And before you knew it, I bought a better camera. I was using money I was earning from graphic design to buy photography equipment. It wasn't making sense because photography wasn't earning me money. Photography wasn't earning me money. This was 2010, 2009/2010. Wasn't earning me money. But then I saw myself, I'm going to buy a DSLR camera. It cost me about 200,000 then. That was a lot of money. But I used the money to buy a camera. And I wasn't charging for photography. But it was just an interest. I had the interest in it. I wasn't trying to build a career or a profession. I was just trying to follow an interest. So here I was, equipping myself in something that I wasn't earning from, but I was feeling fulfilled with every photo I was taking. Wildlife, insects, you understand? Plants. After when I did this exhibition, there was a family friend that bought one of my photographs. It was a photograph of a tortoise eating a leaf. It was a photograph of a tortoise. I love that photograph. Till today, I still think it's one of my best. But he bought it. He bought it. And several weeks went by. And my mom told me this person was getting married. And the person had said, do I want to come for the wedding? I said, yeah, I'll definitely come for the wedding. I said, the wedding's in Dubai. I said, whoa. I've never been to Dubai before. What am I coming to the wedding to do? And people were like, yeah, I take photographs, don't I? I should come to Dubai and take photographs of the wedding. Look, I want to let you know that when you follow your interest, it's tethered to more than what you desire. It's tethered to what will blow your mind. When I came back from Canada, I didn't think I was going to travel out of Nigeria again. I didn't see how. Because I thought, my parents had spent a lot of money sending me to Canada. And I came back to Nigeria, I didn't have much money. So I just thought, just be in Nigeria, do what you have to do, follow design. I didn't have money. I didn't see myself traveling anywhere. So I'd abandoned my passport and just focused in Nigeria. And here was someone saying, let's go to Dubai. I'm getting married. You're going to cover this wedding. I want to have you know, I didn't have a photography website. I didn't have a photography portfolio online. I didn't have any of those things. I didn't even have the badge of a photographer. I didn't have a studio. I wasn't telling people I was a photographer. A lot of my photos were photos of animals, not wedding photos. I wasn't a big name. I wasn't a Jide Alakija, because then it was only the Jide Alakijas of this world that were being taken abroad to photograph. At that point, in 2009, 2010, you didn't have just the average photographer being taken abroad for destination weddings. It wasn't happening. If you had to be established for a client to say, I want to take you abroad. But here I was, just a young man following his interest. And here I was, someone proposing to take me, all expense paid, Dubai, for the first time in my life. And before I knew it, in a few weeks, I was on a plane headed to Dubai, taking wedding photos on a beach. Beautiful. I'll never forget the experience. Here I was, a photographer, in quotes, without a name, without a brand. I was a graphic designer. I was doing more of graphic design than photography. Photography was just something I was just following as an interest. I didn't know it was tethered to my first travel to Dubai. I know a lot of photographers till this particular day, who would give their right arm for that experience. Give their right arm. I know people that have been hustling photography. They've never been called for a wedding outside of their states before. They have pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and told and told and told and networked and done so many things because of what they want to be. A lot of them are not giving the energy of interest. It's not something that piques their interest. Look, when you follow something out of interest, not out of the strategy of I want to be, wonderful things would happen. I traveled to Dubai, stayed in a great hotel, came back to Nigeria, created a photo book, incredible photo book, gave it to them, got paid. I couldn't believe what was happening. Even at that point, they paid me more than what graphic design was paying me at that point in time for something I was just doing out of interest. You see, invest in your interest, follow your interest, tug on your interest. It will take you places. It actually would. Don't let your needs put you on a leash. It's hard, I know, because your needs are ever before you. But sometimes your needs are a distraction. They are there to make you compromise your interest. Because the devil knows what is attached to your interest and doesn't want you to get it. I need someone to listen to this today. And Samuel, if you're listening, stop compromising your interest. If you have no interest in creating digital products, forget about it. If you have more interest in photography, continue to follow it. Continue to follow it. That's my biggest advice for Samuel and any other person listening in today. Continue to follow your interest. Wonderful things happen when you follow your interest, when you stop living in the future and start saying, God, what have you put in my mind today to do? And it doesn't, when God puts something in your mind, when we talk about this God speaking to you, we always think it has to be audible voice, words, no. God speaks to us through inclinations. Sometimes it can be a voice, but sometimes it's inclination. I feel compelled to, I feel led to, I have a desire for. A lot of times God's voice is in these things. But God's voice a lot of times is not in the urgency for money. I fear I would not have. That's not God's voice. I fear I would not be able to. That's not God's voice. I fear I'm not living up to. That's not God's voice. But those are the things we follow a lot. And those are the quick sugars that just end up amping our desire for more, never satisfying us. It is not a natural thing to put on your laptop, sit and stare at it and just feel overwhelmed without doing work. No, it tells me that there's no connection. It tells me there is frustration. It tells me there is a sense of fear and anxiety. But when you follow that which is naturally on your inside, a desire, an inkling, a passion, before you put on that laptop, your mind is brimming with ideas. Your hands are itching to click and to type. There's an abundance, there's an overflow to express. A lot of times you might need to express a lot before you earn. Do you know how many photographs I took before one person said, let's go to Dubai so that you can photograph my wedding? I'm sure the person was approached by other established photographers, but for some reason, he was attracted to mine through the photo of a tortoise. The photo of a tortoise convinced him that I could take the photo of his wedding. Does that make any sense? But there are some people, you are trying to convince people that you can take photos of weddings by taking photos of weddings. I'm not saying it's bad, but if it's coming from a hustle, not from an outpouring, it won't happen. And when it happens, it will happen in a very tainted way. Is that they tell you we won't pay for your flight, or they pay for your flight, we won't pay for your accommodation, or stuff like that, or we'll cut your fee because we are flying you abroad, stuff like that. Follow your interest, follow your interest. It's tethered to the bag you're trying to chase. It's tethered to it. If you can pull on it long enough. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi, and this is the TA Podcast.